All right, I think we're on here now.
Okay.
All right, cool. So I'm here with Becky Theis,
Mhm.
correct? I got that.
Correct. Yep.
Even though we just talked about it 2 seconds ago, I got it in my brain that it's not Theis. But yeah, so Becky Theis with Get 'em and Go plus more. Um, I guess I'd like to just start out with where you grew up, your background, where you live now. Just kind of give us your little backstory.
Okay. I grew up in the Fowler, Westphalia area on a farm. And then halfway through high school, I moved to Grand Ledge, graduated high school from Grand Ledge, went off to college and graduated from Grand Valley State with a degree in behavioral science and criminal justice. Then I went and traveled Europe, like every college kid does. Came back and I worked for the court system for a little bit and then moved over to healthcare, where I worked for 13 years. And then
So,
during COVID, went back to the court for 5 months and then came back into this position,
okay.
starting this business.
And what sparked the need or the idea to start your own company?
I had noticed during health when I had worked at the hospital that there was a need for transportation, but at that point I didn't know how to put all the puzzle pieces together. So there were some life experiences of losing a parent to an auto accident, working in the court and seeing that there are issues with transportation, and then just kind of doing a little research, buying a vehicle and going from there.
Okay. Um, so yeah, tell us about your company and when you started it.
I started it in June of 2021, purchased a vehicle. I did a bunch of research looking at what type of vehicle I need, what vehicle is the safest for transportation with a wheelchair. Purchased the vehicle and then started taking clients. It was very slow at first, because it's scary trying to find someone to drive for you, especially if you're in an auto accident and the reason for your injuries are from someone else's negligence. So getting those people in my vehicle that safely is the top priority, and making sure all of my surroundings are safe.
And then what are the why don't you explain all the different services that you offer and how you can work with your clients?
So I do ambulatory transportation so people can walk, wheelchair accessible transportation. I have a Toyota Sienna van with a side entry burnability. So a client or a patient that's in a wheelchair can wheel in from the side and they can sit in the front seat or they can sit in the middle, whichever they prefer. And then there's room in the back for people to sit who are ambulatory. And I work with case managers, families, hospitals, facilities, and I also do some school transportation.
Okay. Why don't we talk about how far do you go? I mean, people, what's the
Right.
transportation like kind of map or area that you'll cover for your clients?
So I'm located in Grand Ledge and I go as far north as Ionia, around to St. John's, Okemos, down to Eaton Rapids, and up to Charlotte and Portland. So kind of southern Ionia County, Clinton, Ingham, and Eaton.
Okay. And then, it's a transportation world, right?
Mhm.
Um, what kind of sets you apart from other transportation companies, any of the other options that are out there for people to use?
I think what sets me apart is I'm pretty calm when I drive and who gets in my vehicle because they're the most important at that time. They can be a challenging client, but for 20 minutes, that's their time. They can talk about whatever they want. They can listen. They can say nothing. It's their choice. My goal is to get them from where they are to where they need to be and back. And
um,
doing all of the safety measures and taking classes and keeping updated on everything is a top priority.
yeah, why don't you go into some of that? Like, so what does that look like as far as what are you certified in, or what classes have you taken, and what's the is it, do you have CPR training? Do you have, like, what are the trainings look like that you have?
So I have a chauffeur's license. I have BLS or first aid CPR training. Also PASS, which is passenger. I should know the answer. Cash training. I don't want to mess that up. So it's basically how to interact with different types of people.
Okay.
TAPCO training, which also does that same thing with defensive driving training. And then I'm HIPAA compliant, bloodborne pathogen compliant. My vehicle's tested at least, or the ramp and everything is checked every 6 months. And then routine oil changes and making sure that the vehicle is running safely and efficiently.
Do you tend to see a lot of the customers that are repeats? So once you start working with somebody, that kind of becomes somebody that you get to know and you work with them often?
I do, and I see them grow from being holding onto their wheelchair, white knuckled, to just relaxing, and that's cool. Or like with the kids, towards the end of the year, they stop looking at their phone and they'll
Hmm.
have a conversation. So that back and forth is really neat to see. And watching a patient grow from not being able to drive to getting to them to the next step of being able to drive because they lost their independence. And that's a huge thing in someone's life.
How does how does your pricing structure work? I mean, obviously everything's going to be different, but is it based on like a mileage? How does that work? So if I was going to call you and say, hey, could you pick me up my house in Mason and I have a doctor's appointment in St. John's, how would that be priced for your client?
So there's a base fee and then there's an unloaded mileage fee after the first 10. Once they're in the vehicle, then that loaded mileage fee starts and there's a wait time and it goes like pretty much like that.
And you'll stay. So if you were to take me to an appointment and it's going to be an hour appointment, you
Mhm.
will typically stay there, right? And then be ready for them when they're complete.
Typically, yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, what else should we know? What any cool stories you want to tell us? Anything that you want to share about your business that I didn't ask you about?
I just like getting to know everybody. They're all so different because when they're in the van, I've learned stuff about Grand Ledge I didn't know about before, music, and everyone has something to bring that I get to learn from. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope that they're comfortable when they're with me because that's the top priority. Because no one wants that call that they lost someone because it sucks.
Yeah.
So I can't prevent any. I mean, I can prevent accidents, but I can't prevent the people that are on the road
Yeah.
who are driving recklessly. So
Yeah. So for you, what's the most rewarding part of having this company?
when they get excited to see me or I get to see them grow, like not having, if they have stuff all over their legs when I first start seeing them, to where they're getting ready to go to that next chapter where they won't need me anymore, which is sad, but it's exciting for them because now they can do whatever they want. And getting to know their families and how they work and their backgrounds, like the older population, their stories are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can hear in my van, which most of them can, which is surprising because it's kind of loud,
Yeah.
but I like that.
Yeah,
So,
it's probably cool because, you know, as people get older, they like to tell their stories, and then they've got somebody that they can talk to,
yeah,
and
and
they can tell, and you're like interested. Like I can genuinely
yeah,
tell. Like I want to hear people's stories, and I like to get to know people and build relationships with people.
I do. And there's every story I'm like, oh, wait, I know that. Or, oh, I didn't know that. Really? Well, this was there, whatever. So it kind of builds, and we all have a story to tell. We just need someone to listen to us. So that's what I like the most.
Well, what's the best way for someone to contact you if they need your services? You do website, obviously you have a website.
Yep.
Um,
They can
so
call. I'm on all the social media except TikTok and Snapchat. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, Google, and they can text. I prefer when they first are getting information and want to schedule a call, just to have that one-on-one. So if they're at an appointment, they're like, hey, I'm done. Can you come in and get me? They can just text that and I'll be right there.
cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, anything else you want to share here?
Not really. I just like what I do.
Yeah.
I never thought I would buy a van and drive people, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, cool. Well, thanks for jumping on here with us.
yeah. Yep.